All right, 6 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. This is the regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Roll call, Mr. Ron Norman. Here. Mr. Mark Presley. Here. Cicely Saputo and Freddie Banks are currently absent. We also have Miss Rosalie Mahan and codes official and Pete Westerholm from GNRC in attendance, and we are being recorded. This meeting. We do have a quorum. So since our secretary is not here, I'm assuming we don't have minutes from the October 24th meeting.
I have requested them, but have not received yet.
All right, so next item then is any changes or additions to the agenda that you have in front of you. Changes or additions, if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Motion to approve. Motion by Mark, second by Ron. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And Miss Brady makes as a right. Yeah. So any old business? Any old business? No old business. No old business. Hearing none, we'll proceed with new business. Looks like the first item, probably the only item on the agenda then, is application for major home occupation by Miss Lydia Zakalinsky. That's you, I assume.
That's me. How do you pronounce that? Zara Chance. Zara Chance.
Oh, good. Sorry. Chance. I was close. But I didn't get there. Do you have anything you would like to say to the board?
Everything that I would say is written down on that paper you already have.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. I'll just start out with, and then probably some other members of the boards will have as well. Deliveries, what would be delivery of supplies, UPS, that kind of thing.
I'll go and get it myself.
All right. Employee? Just you?
Just me.
Okay. And the floor space, you know, the floor space of the dwelling that is
16 by 48, so that's the outside.
Well, we have a regulation on how much of the floor space of the dwelling can be occupied by the business. So that's the nature of my question.
Well, this isn't necessarily something that you're gonna be doing in your home per se,
Yeah,
but out on your property.
Yeah, it's a separate building.
Oh, I see. Okay. Gotcha.
And that's why you must see.
Gotcha. It's not the residence. Gotcha. Separate drive.
That's in there. Cause I'm kind of confused on that.
Sure. So this is the,
Either separate drive, separate access for the building or the house.
So you would pull in the same, but it's pull off, so have like a
trying to draw it in myself.
Yes.
separate leg coming off the main driveway.
Got it.
This right here represents the sign.
I don't know. That's a good question. What happens?
Okay. I have a question. On your drawing, would this right here represent the sign? It's gonna be at the front.
Yeah, so this is just, I'm gonna take how far away from the property lines.
Okay, that's a setback too. right?
Yes,
Okay. It says a 4x6
Mhm.
sign.
so the sign is gonna be on the building, so that just that piece of the building that's facing the road there.
Okay. Will it be a illuminated sign or just?
It's regular painted wood.
This structure already built.
Yes,
You said it's 16 by 48.
The only thing she's requesting is for a major home business, right?
And the sign there.
And a sign variance. I didn't look at the codes on signs attached to buildings. Is that different?
Well,
I looked at the sign there, but
but yes, sign attached to the building.
a sign attached to a building might be different. Somewhere I was highlighted, brother.
It says clearly in like on federal ordinance. Professional signs and signs for home occupations shall not exceed 4 square feet in area in the R1 and R2 districts, which is in.
They would be next. The size of it.
Where's your home located? From the building.
It's this right here. This is just showing, you know, emergency access.
Signs. A lot of them, they can see you guys for variances.
The hours of operation, they fall under what we already have done.
Yes,
Okay, good.
Now, in your packet too, you will find our ordinances dealing with major home occupations, so that way you can follow along, and so we can just check on. this. Now, this is here, business signs. And this is in the A1. Not to exceed 1.5 square feet of surface area for each linear foot of face of the building related to business on the premises will be permitted. Well, with ordinances and everything, they have it to where the most restrictive is what we go by. So that's why she's asking for the variance.
So the size she wants to put up would be a little larger than what, or smaller.
It'll be a little larger than what's allowed for.
yeah, like a lot.
So it's going to be mounted on the building itself.
I mean, I could put, if it was a problem, I could put it on its own posts.
See a problem, see a problem. I just want to get a full understanding. So,
Yeah, so code regulation does say for the this type of area that a 2x2, which is the 4 square feet, is what we permitted. So she is requesting, the applicant is requesting the variance to make it go from a 2x2 to a 4x6. So that's something that is up to the board to determine whether that's appropriate or not.
So after 3 years, she would have to come back before the BZA.
So no more than 3. But I'm assuming that it doesn't have to be 3, we could say 1.5, 2 years.
Well, and that is another thing too, that I think, as a committee, that you guys could start, there's a lot of major home occupations out there that have been approved over the years. Have they ever come back before you and presented, okay, this is what we're still currently doing, does it follow our guidelines? And so we may be having more people come back before you guys. And we'll be pulling minutes from those meetings, okay, this is what you were approved, this is what we said. Because then we start thinking, and getting, I think we've been, well,
Probably a lot. You don't realize you need to go back, I guess. I don't know if that's a close amount of time that we need to come back.
that would probably be the building codes and zoning laws.
So,
That's just what you need.
Mhm.
will we go back or will we go forward in my request to update?
Your price update for,
At our last meeting, we requested to update with the,
oh, the sign
Signs.
ordinances? That is on the agenda for the planning commission to talk about this evening, because they're the part,
Planning commission.
and, Posey's are looking. Look at it, so. And we've asked GNRC to look at other sign ordinances from the surrounding area. And you recall the gentleman that was just here observing, because he's going to be bringing something forward to you guys. Also help other counties update their sign ordinances, so. He might be an excellent resource too.
Any other questions for Miss Lydia? Otherwise, I assume this is a two-part. Oh, I'd entertain a motion to approve her petition for the major home occupation to start out. And motion probably shouldn't include the number of years. We're gonna vary from three.
should include, you said.
Yeah, I'd say the motion should include the number of years. Once we're gonna vary.
One question, will the building be very visible from the highway? Yes, okay. Cause I can't recall exactly where it is, yeah, I'm sure.
You said she's not very far from you. Yes.
We're Middle Fork, Highway 10 in Middle Fork. She's
Same
like
side.
3 parcels down.
I'm the last house mailbox before Middle Fork.
Before the gas station.
On the left.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I may, before you, before your motion, would it be appropriate if I have a brief comment to?
Sure,
to
go
share?
ahead.
Thank you. So this was just some commentary that our staff put together about the applicant's request for major home occupation permit. Just for context, this is something that's in your packet, but I just want to make sure it's read into the minutes. So Article 4.050B of the Trousdale zoning ordinance defines a major home occupation as those accessory activities conducted on premises that exceed the standards for minor home activities or occupations. Major home occupations may cause an increase in the amount of neighborhood traffic, which may be in the form of persons served by the home occupation or by deliveries or pickups from the premises. All major home occupations require approval of an application for a permit as an appeal made by the owner of the premises to the Board of Zoning Appeals. The board may set operational limitations imposed upon such use by virtue of being considered accessory to the principal use or activity as listed in the article. And there are 11 lists of conditions. Those are found in your packet. Then, as we've discussed before, the effective period of the major home occupation permit shall not exceed 3 years.
3 years.
Yes, ma'am.
The motion that we would grant the home business for the 3-year period. Anything else to add to that?
I think that's probably fine.
In fact, I might just say,
Mark. Okay, Ron Moreland has made a motion to grant the permit for the. Probably should add year in there. Are you fine with 3?
Yes, sir. I think it's the rule says.
To grant the permit for major home occupation for a time of 3 years, which time we'll have to come back and make a report. Second by Mark. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now we should talk about the sign on the side of the building.
so are you wanting the sign bigger so it's more visible?
Especially because of, how fast people are going past, it's gonna be really hard to see something that small.
4 square foot is what's in the piece. That's pretty low.
And the name is a little long, you know, I'd have to make the letters pretty small to fit on there.
Did your last name?
I would not, I'd have to have a billboard to do that.
So at this time, you don't have a name for the business.
I
yet.
do actually, I came to that conclusion
Yeah.
yesterday, so.
Okay. Oh, okay.
That's it. Oh,
Yeah, you should have an information.
I do, I do.
Yes.
Two ways.
You said it's just gonna be a like wood sign or?
Yeah.
From a planning standpoint, the fact that she's putting it on the building and not out in the front yard is less likely of it being an obstruction of any kind.
Yeah.
So if you are going to grant the variance, at least the variance you're granting is actually more applicable to the area versus one we might do in the middle of town that would actually become more of an obstruction or an issue for surrounding businesses. Just something to think about.
So it is gonna be attached to your building. Yeah.
Any more questions?
Make a motion to approve the variance in the size of the sign to, what was the?
4x6.
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 This is 2x2. Second,
Thank you. Do I have a motion by Mark, second by Mr. Brady to grant the variance for an increase on the sign to be attached to the building
yeah,
at 4x6? Any further discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. That takes care of that item of business.
It does.
Anybody got anything else they want to bring up?
I'm just asking for curiosity of why the language for the gasoline service station is just because it's next to that oil gas station. The gasoline and.
Well, I think it just happened to be the next item on
It's next section in the ordinance.
the, it just happened to be the next section. I don't think it had anything to do with this. It just happened to be the next section in the ordinance. Anything else anybody wants to talk about? I don't have anything from the chairman. Does our building inspector have something they'd like to say?
Well, you know, as we had talked about a few minutes ago about the major home occupation, the approval for that is 3 years. How would you like me to proceed with bringing those that have exceeded their 3 years? Would you like me to contact them, or do you want them to go back? You know, how would that be?
Is there a way to attach that to the, you know, you get lots of business licenses every year they're applying for renewing the business license?
That's what I'm gonna do.
Is that a way to ring a bell and say, well, 30 years, you
Well, typically when they renew their business license, once they see reader and they fill out the form and they take their money, then they can re-up their business license through the state online. So I don't know if there's any way for us to be able to flag that and say, oh, you're 3 years, you know, this because he's earning. Now it could be, you know, that the office creates a process and said, okay, here's 3 years. And, you know, mark the calendar, you know, in Outlook or whatever.
to contact.
The contact.
Can I ask a question, Pete? Pete,
Yes, sir.
are we the only county that's running into this situation? Other communities have the same situation and trying to get caught up like we are, or is this a unique in the sense that we just realized we hadn't been doing that?
Sure, I can't give you a definitive answer. I've heard this come up from time to time, but I'm not aware of how widespread the concern is. I'm happy to help look into other other processes that are in place in other communities to see if there's a series of best practices and bring that back to the board.
Yes, it would. You know, I don't wanna confuse people a whole lot, you know, but we wanna follow the rules, you know, we wanna be in compliance, and so. I was just kinda curious.
Yeah, and you don't want the major home occupation starting out with response along and turning into something entirely different.
I'm thinking that we should start going forward with it.
Not look back.
No,
What I have run into, there are several that are utilizing their approval from the BZA, and they are operating outside the scope of what you guys have. approved. So that's where the 3 years becomes the stopgap, as in, okay, we can have your license, your approval full. You're not operating like you said you would be. So
so do
that's
you,
why I'm asking.
with that being said, do you have accurate record of these approvals?
We just have to go back through the minutes and the different files of the BZA approvals.
So what timeline are we looking at to?
Well, we can start, say, 3 years ago. Or even go back farther, say 10 years ago, and start working forward, okay? If they were approved 10 years ago, then they should have been back to see you guys at least 3 times for the check. The check-in, okay? So,
Upon approval, were they aware that they had
I don't, that's the first I've heard of it.
to come back?
and isn't that interesting, because it's in our ordinance.
Yeah.
That's one of the first things I noticed on the red. No more than.
So it's in there,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
that black and white, clear as a bell.
So I would say, at least, I take that back, but going forward. After what you just said, I mean, at least go back at least 7 years.
7 years?
10 years, it sounds good, but it's a lot.
Gotcha. And I know we have, BZA minutes in the office that I can reference and go back and start.
Which I think 7 years sounds good.
It's a start. Yeah, it's a start. You just need to be consistent with what we did. Follow it up.
I think we can do that.
You're gonna make this sort of change to do it, we should go back and make the other ones still.
Exactly.
Because if we don't, then we have created codes enforcement concern, which the office is gonna address anyway, when we be on it.
Yeah, I like it.
When would you like to start doing that?
Let's give you enough time to kind of,
Proceed.
because you got jobs you're doing right now,
Yes, sir.
and then this is adding more to that, so we gotta balance it some kind of way where you don't step in the situation.
Next time we meet, we can
Start to look at it.
Gotcha.
Start that soon?
I mean, if that gives you enough time.
I thought you said you wanted to give yourself more time, not just start next meeting.
I'm just.
Listen, I don't think we should.
Yeah, have we got anything, set for?
That's not.
I do have something for the planning commission. I don't have anything yet for the BZA. But then the deadline for the BZA submittals is not until next week. So there may be something, but there may not be. I really think so.
Just next week.
What if you just say, after you get all your information
Mhm.
Leave it up to you.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
then you notify, that's on.
And then that way, maybe we can do several a meeting. Go ahead and just start knocking them out, do a check-in
Yeah,
and start getting in the routine. And plus that'll also, send the message out too that, hey,
It's
major home
happening.
occupations, be prepared
so I might come forward on that.
for that.
Care about the business.
Now, the next question that kind of brings forward is, okay, we have a fee for people to come and to come see you. So do we want them to go ahead and do that fee as well? And I think maybe the sign.
What do you think?
Yeah. No, I think it's clearly states they need to come and make a report and reapply, so it clearly states they need to make an appearance. And so if we charge the fee for them to come, we charge the fee, that's part of the deal,
That part of the deal?
part of the deal.
That's-
That'd be my opinion.
Yeah, it says at the end of the period, renewal shall be granted upon receipt of properly documented certification that the major home occupation continues to be operated as originally approved by the BZA within operational limitations below. Any act of noncompliance can result in the revocation of the home occupation permit. Unless the review of the Board of Zoning Appeals holds that variation maintains the spirit and intent of these conditions. So,
If I may, quick question.
sure.
This is something I'm curious to ask back as well, but is it specified what certification includes? In terms of if you're asking for a receipt of properly documented certification, is that some sort of formal affidavit saying this is what we still are adhering to?
Yeah,
I mean, in this case, we have a document
Yeah.
that's been provided, but
hopefully we do on the others too within the minutes.
Yeah.
And most of the minutes have been pretty detailed as in what is approved.
So it's up to them to present.
That's it, thank you.
Anything else from anybody? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Since it is coming before planning tonight, the request for, more clarification on billboard signs. As I mentioned to you before the meeting, I wanted to make sure that it was in the minutes also. I really, after things that have already been going through the full commission, I think it would be very beneficial that a different body also be showing up, asking for the full commission to look at and give better guidance in the ordinances for signs, instead of it just coming from codes and zoning subcommittee or just coming from planning. There's been some pushback from some of the other commissioners thinking that we're on some power trip, and I don't want anything. I would like to see it presented as all of us just trying to do better for the county, and not a specific or personal, agenda by any. I think that'd just be beneficial in getting something accomplished, that this body would actually come to the commission and ask for that.
What would this body look like as far as?
Us.
It could be, yeah.
One of us.
So chairman or Mark being commissioner, he could speak to it. Whatever y'all decided to do, but I think that would be beneficial.
And of course, our,
This board and the planning.
We could, yeah, I think it'd be great, coming from multiple. Unfortunately, as the way it seems, I serve on both the planning and on codes and zoning. And so a lot of the commissioners just look at it as something, when I present something, that it's something I personally am pushing for. Although I have agreed and worked on several of the things that have been brought forward, it is a whole other committees behind
Right,
that have been working on things, and I think having someone else presenting it might be beneficial.
Unfortunately, from our standpoint, when we get applications for variances for signs,
Little to go on.
we have nothing to go by. I mean, it's almost impossible to.
There are sections that you have nothing to go on.
That's exactly-
And planning has been trying to rectify that, but has been getting a lot of pushback from the commission. And I think it's just a lack of understanding what we're trying to accomplish.
being on the board, I agree with you 100%, but I think we should have more to represent to them than just one. Let it be.
So you're more welcome, all of you, to come.
I mean, just one from this board, the one, you said like, they look at it as if just one board is representing, pushing this. Well, I feel like that if you have more than one, like our board, your board, and maybe someone else outside, that you see where I'm coming with that it would go forward as not being just one person. Not one person, but one board pushing it, asking for it, just making it up.
In planning, we'll work with GNRC. We'll try to come up with something that looks similar to what the other counties are doing. We try not, in planning, we try not to put anything forward that's just out of whole cloth, it's just, we come up with on our own. We try to use something that's already been used and is already law in other surrounding counties. But like I said, recently we've had a lot of pushback on any new regulations, coming forward. And so, I mean, we've got holes in our zoning ordinances that need to be fixed, especially as we're having more and more growth. More and more people wanting to do things, and there's nothing to tell them how they should do it. There's just nothing there, and so you leave it up to their determination of what they think should be done. So, like I said, it's just a suggestion. I know planning's trying to come up with some way to be able to find out what the commission is palatable for, to get something in place in some of these areas. I was just hoping that maybe, this board would be willing to help just educate, if nothing else, the need for it.
I agree, because like, whether we like it or not, want to approve it or not, as Mr. Carmen said in our last meeting, I mean, in reality, in the next 7 years, things are going to change. And it's better now than then. Especially with things the way they are. As is. So,
Anything else? If not, I entertain motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Ron, seconded by Ms. Brady, we stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for your time. Wendy.